Hear that? That low, nervous silence crawling in the background. That's the sound people make when something they can't control is becoming real. Look at you. Really look. While you're standing there getting quieter, sharper, more deliberate, your ex is unraveling in public, losing composure, losing sleep, losing the version of reality where they were the center of the story. And you're wondering why. Why you feel heavier now. Why your name doesn't get said out loud anymore. It gets whispered. Here's the part nobody warned them about. They thought losing you meant peace. They thought walking away meant closure. They thought once you were gone, you'd shrink back into whatever small, predictable shape they had you in. Something manageable. Something forgettable. Something they could explain away with a lazy story when your name came up. But that's not what happened. What happened is that when they left, or when you finally let go, the noise stopped. The distractions died, the emotional chaos went quiet. And in that quiet, something ancient in you woke up. Something that doesn't beg, something that doesn't explain itself. Something that doesn't need to be understood to be feared. They knew you when you were bleeding, when you were bending, when you were soft enough to mistake love for survival. They saw the saint in you, patient, forgiving, overgiving. What they never bothered to look for was the other half. The one forged in disappointment. The one that learns instead of pleads. The one that adapts. That's the paradox that's driving them insane. They remember the version of you who would have broken under this pressure, who would have chased answers, who would have needed closure, validation, reassurance. But the version standing here now, this one doesn't chase. This one observes. This one doesn't explain pain. It converts it. And that terrifies them, because your ex isn't losing it because they miss you. They're losing it because they can't place you anymore. You don't react the way you used to. You don't announce your moves. You don't leak emotion where it can be weaponized. You don't perform healing for an audience. You just move differently, speak differently, carry silence like a loaded weapon. They feel it when mutuals act strange. They feel it when your name pops up in rooms you're not in. They feel it when people start asking questions they don't have answers to. What happened to them? When did they get like this? Why do they seem untouchable now? That's when panic sets in, because your growth didn't come with a spotlight. It came with absence. You didn't glow up loudly. You sharpened quietly, and quiet transformations are the most dangerous kind. Loud change can be tracked. Quiet change rewrites the terrain. You became unpredictable, not chaotic, calculated. You stopped being an open book and became a classified file. And now, they're spiraling, trying to reconcile two impossible truths at once. The person they underestimated is evolving, and they no longer have access. That's the angel and the demon colliding inside you. The angel learned empathy. The demon learned restraint. And restraint, that's power. Your ex lives in reaction, in comparison, in emotional static. Every move you make, even the ones they imagine, triggers something in them because it reminds them of what they lost control over. Not you, the narrative. They needed you to stay small so their version of events could survive. They needed you frozen in time, still hurting, still reaching, still explainable. But you stepped out of the frame. Now your name circulates without context, without permission, without their input. And that's why they're unraveling, because becoming a name, people whisper, isn't about fame. It's about impact. It's about presence that doesn't announce itself. It's about a gravity you didn't ask for, but earned through pain. You didn't heal to be seen. You healed to be free. And freedom looks like madness to people who live off control. So let them lose it. Let them spiral. Let them talk themselves in circles, trying to understand how the one they thought they knew became someone they can't reach, can't read, can't replace. You are not louder. You are not colder. You are deeper. And depth scares people who only learned how to swim in shallow validation. Keep moving the way you are. Quiet, focused, unpredictable. Let your absence do the talking. Let your name travel ahead of you. Because the moment they stopped being the center of your world, you became the center of your own. And that's the kind of transformation nobody ever recovers from watching. And the longer they watch you from a distance, the worse it gets for them. Because time isn't softening the impact. It's sharpening it. They expected the usual arc, the predictable one. You fall apart, you spiral, you replace them too fast, or you can't replace them at all. You post sad quotes, you chase distractions, you make noise so everyone knows you're doing better. They prepared themselves for that version of healing. What they weren't prepared for was silence with direction. You didn't rush to fill the void. You didn't numb it. You didn't perform recovery like a spectacle. You sat with the discomfort long enough to hear what it was trying to teach you. And once you heard it, you changed the rules of how you live. That's when the shift became irreversible. You stopped negotiating with people who only valued you when you were convenient. You stopped over-explaining your intentions to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped offering access to anyone who treated your presence like a resource instead of a privilege. And that recalibration, it rewired how people experience you. Your ex feels it as loss of relevance, loss of leverage, loss of emotional dominance. They used to know how to pull you closer or push you away. They used to know which version of you would show up depending on the mood, the timing, the manipulation. Now there's only one version, centered, observant, unmoved. That consistency is what's breaking them, because unpredictability used to be you reacting emotionally. Now unpredictability is you not reacting at all. You don't reward chaos with attention. You don't dignify provocation with explanation. You don't chase closure from people who benefited from your confusion. You became psychologically unavailable to dysfunction, and dysfunction hates that. Your ex is stuck replaying old memories, trying to find the moment where they still had power, trying to locate the last version of you that needed them. They scroll back through conversations like a forensic analyst at a crime scene, searching for evidence that you're still reachable. But every silence you maintain rewrites history. Every boundary you keep intact tells the truth louder than words ever could. They feel it when their name doesn't trigger you anymore. They feel it when you don't react to indirect shots. They feel it when mutual connections stop reporting back with useful intel. You've gone dark, not because you disappeared, but because you upgraded. And here's the part that cuts deepest for them. You didn't harden into bitterness. You didn't become cruel. You didn't turn into the villain they hoped you'd be so they could justify everything. You became calm. Calm with teeth. The kind of calm that says, I see everything, and I still choose restraint. The kind of calm that knows exactly how destructive it could be, and doesn't need to prove it. That's the angel who learned strategy. That's the demon who learned mercy. That's power refined, not raw. Your ex can't compete with that because they're still trying to win emotional games you're no longer playing. They're still seeking validation from reactions. while you've moved into a state where your validation comes from alignment. You're no longer trying to be chosen. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're no longer trying to be remembered. And paradoxically, that's why you are. People whisper your name now because you don't push it into rooms. You don't announce your growth. You don't narrate your evolution. You let results speak, and results have a way of traveling faster than rumors. Your presence feels different because it's no longer fragmented. There's no internal tug-of-war between who you are and who you're trying to be for someone else. That internal coherence creates a pressure, a gravity that people feel instinctively. And your ex feels it as displacement. They're not at the center of your emotional universe anymore, and that destabilizes their identity. Because for a while your attention reinforced their sense of importance. Your reactions gave them feedback. Your pain made them feel powerful. Now your indifference doesn't insult them. It invalidates them. And invalidation is unbearable for someone who built their self-worth on influence. You didn't take revenge. You didn't seek justice. You didn't demand accountability. You simply withdrew your energy and reinvested it in yourself. That move alone changed everything, because energy doesn't disappear, it reallocates. And when you stop feeding people who feed on your emotional output, they starve. Not physically, psychologically. They lose their sense of control, their narrative authority, their imagined significance. That's why they're losing it. Meanwhile, you're becoming someone who can walk into uncertainty without panic. Someone who can hold tension without collapsing. Someone who can be alone without feeling abandoned. Someone who can be desired without being dependent on desire. That's not healing, that's initiation. You cross the line most people never do. The line where pain stops being personal and starts being instructional. Where loss stops being a tragedy and starts being a catalyst. Where love stops being a transaction and starts being a standard. So let them unravel. Let them obsess. Let them tell themselves whatever story helps them sleep. You're no longer available to the version of reality where they mattered more than your growth. You're becoming a name people whisper, not because you're loud, but because when you speak, move, or decide, something shifts. And the ones who knew you before, they'll always be the most haunted by who you became after. And the haunting part for them is this: they don't know when it happened. There's no clean timestamp, no dramatic announcement, no single moment they can point to and say, that's when they changed. That uncertainty eats at them, because it means the transformation was happening while they weren't paying attention, while they were distracted, while they assumed you'd always be there, orbiting their moods, absorbing their chaos, shrinking yourself to keep the peace. They missed the quiet weeks where you stopped oversharing. They missed the nights where you sat with discomfort instead of running from it. They missed the internal negotiations you ended, the ones where you kept betraying yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. And now they're staring at the result without access to the process. That's destabilizing, because when people don't understand how power was built, they assume something sinister. They tell themselves you must be pretending, masking, performing confidence. They wait for the collapse they're convinced is coming, because that's how they operate. They fake strength until it runs out. But you didn't fake anything. You endured. You metabolized pain instead of exporting it. You let grief sharpen you instead of hollowing you out. You learned when to speak and, more importantly, when to shut up and let people reveal themselves. That's why you feel dangerous now, even when you're calm. Your ex senses that they can't provoke you into showing weakness anymore. They can't pull you into old dynamics. They can't bait you into defending your character. And that lack of access creates paranoia. Because when someone can't read you, they project. They imagine you plotting. They imagine you judging. They imagine you watching. And the irony? You're not thinking about them nearly as much as they think you are. That's the cruelty of growth. It's asymmetric. You moved on internally long before it became visible externally. You detached emotionally before you detached socially. So by the time they realized something was off, you were already gone. What they're witnessing now isn't your reaction to them. It's your alignment with yourself. And alignment is unsettling to anyone who survives by disruption. You're not driven by proving anything anymore. You don't need to win the breakup. You don't need to be seen as the good one or the victim or the healed one. You're past the stage where identity depends on opposition. That makes you ungovernable. Your ex still needs friction to feel alive. Drama, validation, emotional feedback loops. You removed yourself from the circuit, and now the system malfunctions. They feel it in their body. The anxiety spikes, the compulsive checking, the urge to poke you just to see if you're still there, still reachable, still human in the way they remember. But you didn't lose your humanity. You refined it. You learned that compassion without boundaries is self-destruction. You learned that love without self-respect is dependency. You learned that being understanding to people who refuse to understand you is just another form of abandonment of yourself. So you stopped, and stopping is what turned you into a rumor. People whisper your name now because they can't categorize you. You don't fit into the boxes they're used to. You're not bitter, not desperate, not loud, not begging to be seen. You exist in a lane that requires curiosity to approach and courage to stay. Your ex doesn't have either. They're trapped between nostalgia and resentment, between missing who you were and being threatened by who you are, between wanting access and fearing exposure, because deep down, they know something they'll never say. If they had treated you better, they might still recognize you, but they didn't. And now the version of you that would have tolerated less no longer exists. You didn't turn cold, you turned precise. You didn't shut down, you tuned in. You didn't harden, you condensed. Pressure didn't destroy you, it clarified you. So let the whispers continue. Let the curiosity grow. Let the confusion spread. You are not responsible for the discomfort of people who benefited from your silence when you were suffering. You are here now, present, intentional, self-directed. And that presence carries weight. The kind of weight that doesn't need noise. The kind of weight that bends rooms. The kind of weight that turns exes into spectators and survivors into symbols. You're not chasing a spotlight. You are the shift people feel when something irreversible has already happened, and what they can't escape, no matter how hard they try to distract themselves, is the realization that you didn't win by doing more. You won by doing less. Less explaining, less reacting, less bleeding in public, less negotiating your worth with people who never intended to pay full price. That kind of restraint rewires how others perceive you. It signals something deeper than confidence. It signals self-possession, and self-possession is threatening to anyone who once felt entitled to your emotional labor. Your ex keeps replaying moments where they had leverage, when a text could shift your mood, when distance could make you anxious, when affection could be rationed to keep you compliant. Those moments haunt them now, because they no longer exist anywhere except memory. And memory has no power over someone who has outgrown the emotional climate it came from. You're not the same terrain anymore. You stopped being a place people could trespass. You stopped being a space people could occupy without consequence. You stopped being a source people could drain and still expect gratitude. And when that shift happens, something strange occurs. People who once felt superior start feeling exposed. Because your calm forces comparison. Your boundaries force self-reflection. Your silence forces them to sit with themselves. And most people cannot stand themselves without distraction. Your ex isn't losing it because you're thriving. They're losing it because you're no longer available to confirm their version of who they are. You're no longer a witness to their identity, no longer a participant in their emotional theater. You exited the role, and now the stage feels empty. They tell themselves you've changed in the worst ways, that you're colder, darker, less loving. That story comforts them because it preserves their innocence. It allows them to avoid the harder truth. You didn't lose warmth. You redirected it. You didn't stop loving. You stopped overgiving. You didn't become distant. You became selective. That's not corruption. That's refinement. You learned that not everyone who desires you deserves you. That not everyone who misses you respected you. That not everyone who wants access intends to care for what they touch. Those realizations didn't make you cruel. They made you accurate. Your ex is spiraling because accuracy strips away illusion. It reveals where effort was one-sided, where affection was conditional, where power was uneven. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. Neither can they. They sense that if you were to speak now, calmly, precisely, without emotion, the truth would land heavier than any argument ever did. And that possibility terrifies them, so they provoke, they speculate, they rewrite history, they try to make noise. Noise is what people use when they're afraid of silence. But you've learned how to live there. Silence taught you who listens. Silence taught you who stays. Silence taught you what actually matters when all performance falls away. That's why you move slower now. Why you choose carefully. Why your words feel deliberate instead of desperate. You're no longer trying to be everything to someone who treated you like an option. You're becoming everything to yourself. And that internal loyalty changed the frequency you operate on. People feel it when you walk away without resentment. They feel it when you don't flinch at misunderstanding. They feel it when you don't rush to correct narratives that will collapse on their own. Your ex feels it most of all, because they were there before the shift, and now they're locked out after. They don't know how to engage with someone who doesn't need emotional closure from them, someone who doesn't seek validation through reaction, someone who doesn't require acknowledgement to move forward. You're not seeking peace anymore. You're embodying it. And peace, when it's real, doesn't chase. It doesn't argue. It doesn't announce its arrival. It just changes the room. That's why your name carries weight now. That's why people lower their voice when they say it. That's why curiosity follows you instead of pity. You didn't survive to prove anything. You survived to become unreachable by the patterns that once controlled you. And the ones who benefited from those patterns, they'll always be the loudest when you no longer respond. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them unravel in the background. You're not here to be understood by your past. You're here to move forward with a clarity that doesn't need permission, and a presence that makes even absence feel loud. And once someone feels that shift, they never forget who you became after they lost access.